Approximately 1 year ago, I posted this video. So if I'm a potter and I have a pottery business, why haven't I sold a single thing? I feel like I have a lot to explain. But first, let me take care of this whole mess behind me and catch you up a bit while I'm at it. I'm thinking 1 minute on the clock should be more than enough time, right? If you don't know me, hi, my name's Catherine, but my family calls me Yaya, so you can call me that too. Yaya Ceramics also being the name of my so-called business. In the past 12 months since launching Yaya Ceramics, I've posted 10 other YouTube videos averaging 40 minutes each, racked up 220,000 views, and gained over 7,000 subs. Objectively not the biggest number, but I truly think I have the best subscribers. Hosted my first 10-day pottery bootcamp trip to Jingdezhen in August of last year, bringing together 11 people from all around the world to learn ceramics in China. On that same trip, officially became an apprentice of Master thrower Zhan and spent time practicing and refining my throwing skills at his school. More recently, I finally published my last bit of footage from my 2025 China trip. I also just moved out from my parents' home in Florida to be with my partner in New York, which is where I am now and why I am drowning in boxes since I am resetting up my studio here. Oh, and I got a cat. Jezebel. Miss Jezebel, who usually has to be present when boxes are involved, but is currently passed out in the other room. And through it all, despite telling myself I was going to launch my online shop, I made exactly 0 pieces of pottery to sell. Yeah. 1:20, just about. I started setting up at around 10 a.m. today, so that's how long this all took in real time. I have the wheel and the workbench, all the big furniture in their places. I also made myself a little office area where I can sit and do my edits. My itty bitty kiln is downstairs, currently in boxes to be assembled at a later time. Still more work to do to get this studio finished. Definitely some vacuuming and dusting that needs to be done as well, but I'm happy with the progress here for today. And I did succeed in digging this up. This is the wood-fired cup I got at the Letian Pottery Workshop Market in Jingdezhen last year. So I'm gonna get myself an iced drink in this, come back and we'll chat some more. This is a cold brew with maple cold foam. So why haven't I made anything to sell yet? I'm gonna try to answer that by answering 3 other questions. What I have been doing, what I haven't been doing, and what I want and plan to do. Right, what I have been doing. A lot of my past year was spent planning and executing on the 2025 Jingdezhen Global Pottery Bootcamp and my pottery work trip to China, which was one of the most rewarding experiences in my entire life. All my bootcampers, you were amazing. I have the whole thing recapped on my channel if you'd like to watch that, and I'm actually currently organizing the next bootcamp trip, which is happening in November this year. But back to 2025. After I came back from that trip, that 2-month-long trip, I had hours and hours, terabytes of footage. So I spent the months after that working through that massive backlog in order to turn that raw footage into YouTube videos. But the real reason why editing took months was because I basically refused to work too hard. For the first time, I think, in my entire adult life, I got good sleep, I cooked myself great meals. With very few exceptions, I didn't work overtime. And I've also been spending more time doing the things I love, like cooking and baking. And I've picked up both new and old hobbies, like knitting and photography. I still worked really hard, but I had my happiest and healthiest year on record. It was my first full year being self-employed, and it was the best year of my life. But what I haven't been doing is spending every day or even every other day in the studio. I haven't been building inventory of any kind. Ironically, I have not been spending as much time actually making pottery as I would like. There have been moments where I've felt behind because of that, especially being on social media. But then I snap out of it and I remember that I'm in this formative beginning stage of my self-employed journey where I have the power to shape what my work-life balance looks like. And so recalibrating my definition of what is enough work has been of the highest priority to me. After a full year of practicing rest, I just can't see myself going back to habits that might have burnt me out in the past. So I actually keep a daily journal and I flip through to look back on how I changed over the past year. These are some of the entries documenting that process. Wednesday, July 2nd, 2025. I realized that I need things. I'm not some kind of video game character who can chop wood all day or grind all day or whatever. Tuesday, October 28th, 2025. I did a good job feeding myself today. I also did a good job with work and successfully avoided burnout, which I know doesn't sound impressive across one day, but if I can avoid micro burnout, then I could maybe actually avoid long-term real burnout. I'd like that very much. Monday, February 16th, 2026. I'm just really trying to live my life and settle into a new state of being, not being in a low fight or flight state and truly experiencing security and relaxation in my daily life. Excited to have another lovely day tomorrow, and the one after that, and the one after that. And May 31st, 2026. I feel so grateful. Everything is looking up, becoming the vision of my life I have been wanting. The hardest part is accepting this is real, but it's getting easier and easier. Opting out of the game of catch-up also led me to the realization that just because I'm not selling pottery doesn't mean I don't have a real and legitimate pottery business. I am so lucky that my YouTube channel and the Jingdezhen Global Pottery Bootcamp have turned into sources of income for me. It's given me the ability to fashion this better relationship with work for myself, and it's bought me time to be more intentional with the work that I will eventually put out into the world. It's so surreal that I've been able to share every bit of my small business journey with you all on this channel from literally day one. So thank you for your love and support. Which leads me into what I want to be doing / what I plan to do. In short, I will be launching my pottery shop this year. I'm not sure exactly when that'll happen or what products will be sold or what form the launch will take, but I'm excited to figure that out as I go. So yeah. I think we're all caught up now. I'm actually going on a short trip soon, but before I head out, I actually want to order some fresh clay so I can start throwing right when I return. Add to cart and order placed for pickup. This is a local ceramic supply store, so I'm gonna go in to fetch it to save on some shipping costs. Super excited to throw with it when I return. I will see you all very soon. Got my clay. It's been way too long since I've done some throwing, so let's fix that today. I got one 50-pound bag each of 4 different stoneware clay bodies. All are from Standard Clay Company. I think I'm gonna start throwing with the one I am most excited about, which is the 760 Speckled. I actually can't find my wire tool, so I'm using a guitar string. I'm going to try to throw off the hump today, so I'm gonna use a pretty large amount and we'll just see how it goes. For some context, up until this point, I've worked 100% in porcelain. I first learned how to throw in 2024 in Jingdezhen, where porcelain is the everyday workhorse clay. It throws beautifully. It's so smooth and so responsive, and it fires to a brilliant white. And I absolutely fell in love with it while I was there. So I've always felt a special attachment to porcelain as the very first clay I started throwing with, and the clay that makes me feel most connected to my heritage, since porcelain is so strongly associated with Chinese craftsmanship. For me, it's always been about this 3-way connection. Me, the material, and the place. And in Jingdezhen, I had that for the first time. Then I came back to the US from China, and right from the get-go, I was very much in a porcelain or nothing mindset. I ordered a few bags of porcelain off a ceramic supplier online and began throwing with it at home. And it was fun, but it wasn't the same as the Jingdezhen porcelain that I knew and loved, obviously. I feel passionately about throwing with a clay that I have a personal connection of some kind to. My philosophy is that the medium is where art begins in a lot of ways, so it was difficult for me to let go of working with porcelain when I held it in such reverence. In the end, I was limiting myself a lot by not exploring other types of clay. And I was being a little stubborn, clinging so tightly to a material that, while special to me, wasn't necessarily going to serve me well outside of the context of Jingdezhen for both philosophical and supply chain reasons. With time and reflection, my convictions softened, as have my overall attitudes toward myself. Well done. Nowadays, I'd like to stop being such a purist and give myself room to experiment with other clays before I make any such firm decisions. For example, I would love to one day work with local clays or quote-unquote wild clay, though I think the ethics of that are a bit contentious in a world where resources are so tightly controlled under capitalism and land has been sharply divided into public and private in ways that restrict meaningful public access, but I digress. And I think some really interesting stuff could happen if I mix Jingdezhen techniques like throwing off the hump with non-porcelain clays. That actually mirrors my personal history as a first-gen Chinese American much more closely as well. Slender tulip cup. Never made a shape quite like this before. No! So at least for the here and now, while I'm in my home studio, I'm going to embrace cone 6 firings instead of cone 10, stoneware instead of porcelain, leather hard trimming instead of dry trimming. Something's not quite even in these walls. Of course, I'm not leaving porcelain behind for good, but I'm going to use this upcoming period to focus on experimentation, to figure out what it is I want to make. And I'm really excited to see where this kind of exchange, convergence, if you will take me. Salvage a cup. Not my smoothest throwing session ever, but I'm just happy to be back on the wheel, and I'm really enjoying working with this new clay so far. I didn't go into today's throwing with much of a plan. I just kind of made things up on the fly, thought about what I might use in my daily life. So here on the right, your left, I've got a pudding cup. I've also been really obsessed with making panna cottas as of late, so this would be perfect for that kind of a dessert, a single serving cup of some kind of sweet treat. Here is a cotton pad holder with a lid. I use cotton pads to apply skincare, take off makeup. This would be lovely to have at the vanity. Here I have a footed cat food bowl. As many cat guardians may know, cats tend to prefer to eat out of bowls that are shallow so they don't get whisker fatigue, and bowls that are slightly elevated so it's better for their necks legs, and so their little paws don't get tired from crouching down. Here is some kind of goblet I just made up again. I gave it this bulbous foot so that in trimming I can kind of give it a sculptural flair. This one I'm kind of partial to. This is supposed to be a soy sauce dispenser, a tabletop soy sauce pourer. I would fashion a cork, a vented cork, to plug the top. Finally, over here is an irregular cup. It is what came out of a failed vase. I hate it, but it's part of the lineup right now. Oh, and RIP my tall flared cup, my tulip cup. That one was kind of cute, but it wasn't meant to be. Actually, you know what? I feel like this cat bowl is missing something. Not sure if I just ruined that, but so I'm gonna tidy up here, and then I have something I need to show you guys. Nice and clean again. If you watched my China vlogs, you might remember that at the end of my time practicing at Master Zhan's last year, I decided to make a few pieces to take home with me. I had only 1 week to throw, trim, and glaze these 6 pieces, and I had to leave the city before they were fired, so I never got the chance to show you how they turned out. I'm gonna show you guys in order of how successful I think they came out. In first is my teacup. Glaze came out gorgeous on this one. I love the deep teal and the green oil spot effect. The shape of this teacup is a classic ya shou bei. Ya shou bei literally translates to pressing in the hand, so it fits very snugly in the palm. It's very ergonomic and comfortable to hold and to sip out of. But more than just the fact that it looks so beautiful, in my opinion, the reason why this comes in first is because the walls are decently thin and very even throughout. I can't say the same for most of the things I make, in part because I have really high standards for my work, but also because I have a lot to learn. But I would happily sell this teacup. In second place is my Bain Marie. So this was a gift for my partner who cooks professionally. I learned from him that cooks sometimes use a Bain Marie to hold their tools. Most commonly, it's just a stainless steel cylinder like this one. But he requested a ceramic one, so this is what I came up with. It is a little smaller, but it fits his essentials, and he actually uses it. So that's a success in my book. Weirdly enough, this was supposed to be an ivory color, but my guess is that there was a mix-up at the glaze shop because this is what I got in the mail. Honestly, I'm not mad because I think this hazelnut brown is beautiful. It kind of gives tree trunk, and even this random white dot here looks like a beauty mark. Third, my bamboo cup. The green glaze on this is just perfect for the form. Really stuck with the bamboo theme there. Visually, it's one of my favorites. The only critique is it gets a little bit thick toward the bottom. Because of all that excess clay down here, it's just a little heavier and it doesn't hold as much liquid as it should. I still love it though. Now for the bubble cup. There's nothing wrong with this piece functionally. I just wasn't completely satisfied with the shape and the end result. It was supposed to be straight up and down. Actually, let me show you what I was going for. You see how each ring on this cup is the same diameter? On this one, the bottom bubble is much smaller than these two. What happened was an apprentice helped me trim this cup because I was on a tight deadline and he accidentally took off too much clay on the bottom. Not his fault, I didn't tell him before he got to it. I just rolled with it and kept trimming and trimming and trimming. On the plus side, all the aggressive trimming we did collectively did make this cup very light. The glaze that went on this cup, it kind of flowed down. See that gradient from green to purple? Really cool. The cup works great, just not my personal favorite style-wise. Then my bowl. Unfortunately, I would not call this a success. We've got a lot of warpage with the edge up top being too thin. Warpage is a known issue with porcelain, all of these being high fire porcelain that gets up to 1300 degrees Celsius. I do like the glaze. It could have been applied more thickly because it is a little splotchy on the outside. It lacks opacity in some areas, but you can see in the inside center that dappled eggshell shade. Yeah, that's the warpage. I could still use it. That is not true for our last place, which is the most regretful result of the bunch, my blade. You may be asking, why? because of this huge gash. While I was glazing this piece, I uncovered a hairline crack, but I still decided to go ahead with glazing and firing because I had nothing to lose. Sure enough, the crack just went through the whole piece. I did use practice clay to make this, which had a lot of impurities that could have caused a fissure. I think overall it's still a well-constructed piece, but sometimes you just get unlucky. It's a real shame because I would have loved to use this in my kitchen, but pottery has taught me to move on fast and not take oopsies personally. So there you have it. While we're at it, I wanted to continue the show and tell. Utsuwabi is a Japanese tableware brand. They were kind enough to gift me some of their wares. In Japan, each prefecture specializes in its own kind and style of pottery. For example, Mashiko, Shigaraki, Hasami, etc. And Utsuwabi curates their selection of pottery and their site based on prefecture with background information on each region. It was so hard to narrow down which pieces I wanted, but I ended up choosing 2 pieces of banko ware. This is the Ishikawa Craft Ramen Pot and their milk pot. Banko ware stood out to me because these pieces are heat resistant, meaning they can go in the oven or over a direct flame. I've already used this dish so many times to make ramen over the stove top, steam chicken, bake crab dip, bread pudding, you name it, in the oven. And I've used this pot to make many steaming hot cups of milk tea. Oh, I also picked up one of their wooden dessert forks, which I can't find right now. It's in some box somewhere. Could not recommend more, and I'm so excited to keep using these for many years into the future. So thank you, Tsuwabi. You can go to the description to check out their site. This was a gift, of course, but this recommendation is not sponsored. A couple more ceramics I want to show you guys. This is a simple spoon rest from Utility Objects. I picked this up on a day trip to Hudson, New York from a store called Battersby House. Hudson is such a lovely town. The glaze on this really reminds me of Winter Wood by Mako. I had been meaning to make myself a spoon rest for the longest time, but then I saw this and I thought it's perfect. Why not just get it? And it has been getting good use. And last up, I picked up this soap dish from Susan Bogan at the Ramsey Farmers Market in New Jersey. It's an elevated platform with a design of blue dragonflies. I swear the day after I got this, I started noticing these brilliant blue dragonflies in the garden. If not for this purchase I'd made the day before, I don't know if I would have taken note of them. In the lovely conversation I had with the maker, I think she mentioned that it could be for anything. But recently I started using really nice bar soaps, and it's been so enjoyable livening up my everyday spaces with functional ceramics from artists whose work I admire and making my home my gallery. Even and especially as a potter myself, I think it's super valuable to be a collector and appreciator of other potters' work and to consume and observe art around us, not necessarily for inspiration or learning, but simply because we enjoy it. Recently, I've taken more of an interest in interior design. I remember saying in my studio tour video last year that I wasn't too keen on decorating my studio because it was in my parents' home and I knew it was temporary. I didn't want to spend any additional resources beautifying it beyond just placing some items that I already owned around. But now that I'm here, I really want to invest more in making this studio look a whole lot nicer. So let's spend the rest of the video sprucing it up. I got these curtains from The Linen Maid on Etsy. The color of the linen is called American Clay, which I had to pick just based on the name. Then I customized it with a mossy green trim. It'll be good to add some privacy, and when the sun shines in the late afternoon, it'll cast some warm tones throughout the room. I also have some contact paper that I'd like to stick onto the glass on this storage cabinet, 41 x 36. Remember that, to hide all the stuff behind it and give it a cleaner look. Nice. I love a good low effort, high return DIY. So this rug I've had for a while. I bought it for my first big girl apartment in New York City when I lived there a few years ago. It fits perfectly in this space between my workbench and my wheel. One day I'll get a big area rug. I just love how a large rug can define a space. For now, this'll do. And finally, I wanted to add in some framed artwork and photos. We have here Olive You. This is a Z-Clay print of a watercolor by Kathy Simon McDonald, which I purchased at her recent exhibition at the Herrick Center for the Arts in Bradenton, Florida. I bought it with my partner and our anniversary in mind. He loves olives, and while I'm not as much of a fan of munching on olives as he is, I do adore olive trees. Their tapered leaves and the contrast of the dark fruit against the silvery bark. I'm thinking that this print belongs more in the kitchen and will probably find a more permanent home there, but at least for a moment I want to be able to look at it here in my studio. And here is a piece that has traveled with me near and far, but recently got some TLC. This is actually wrapping paper that came with an order from 3 Women Co., a California-based designer and clothing studio. They do some really cool upcycled items out of vintage fabrics and like rice bags and things. After being displayed for many years, the pink pigment began to fade, so I recently traced over with this peachy pink color pencil to preserve it, and now it has new life. This one was in my old studio, so some of you may recognize it, but this is the story behind it. This nice wooden frame is new though. The old one, which was rather cheap, got damaged in the move. So that's my bootleg restoration. I will lead with the frame this time. This is a terrazzo frame. I got it at the Getty Villa that I visited this time in LA. The terrazzo looks a bit like the terrazzo flooring of the inner peristyle of the villa itself. It's inlaid in a style called opus signinum, used by the ancient Romans, where pottery, tile, and amphora shards were crushed and mixed in a lime mortar. I don't know what these inclusions in the frame are, but maybe it's something similar. And I'm using it to frame a photo of my partner and I. I don't know about you, but these made the biggest difference for me. I am so happy right now. Ooh, I am also super eager to try this cyanotype kit. I picked this up about a month ago when I went to Ithaca Festival. This kit is by Cascade Press. I first learned about cyanotypes in art history class. I've never tried doing it myself. The idea is to use some leaves and flowers and vines from the garden and capture the height of summer and this beautiful time in our lives. I think I'm gonna do it later today. The days are nice and long and there's plenty of time to get some arts and crafts in. I would hang some of this artwork and prints and photos up on the walls, and I'm sorry I buried the lead here. This is all temporary too. I'm currently living at my partner's family's home as we transition to our own place. We are moving out in August, but that's why I don't want to start drilling holes in the walls right now. We have already signed a lease for a new place. It's truly a dream apartment for us, and I can't wait to show you all when the time comes. So come August, everything in here, everything I just did, will be coming with me and will get transplanted to the new place. Fingers crossed that this upcoming move, will be the last one for a while. It's getting kind of overcast. Maybe cyanotyping will have to wait till another day. Sometimes I look at everything that's happened over the past year and I realize that pottery and this channel have already given me more than I ever expected it to. Even with $0 in pottery sales, even taking it super slow, even with my upload schedule of 1 video a month, if that. That's actually something I've been considering, ramping up my upload schedule. So I'd like to ask you all, would you rather me stick with my current upload schedule, which is 1 longer, more effortful video every month, or would you rather see me more often but in shorter bursts, maybe 15-minute casual studio vlogs every 2 weeks? Please do leave a comment and let me know. Looks like the sun's coming back. If I may, a few closing thoughts to leave you with. If you have ever identified as an overachiever and chronic overworker like me, it is possible to grow out of it. I promise there's hope as a, I won't say recovered, but reformed perfectionist. To find happiness outside of that identity, even if it has shadowed you your whole life. I feel like the snow pea is perfect. There is nothing wrong with resting and resisting in a world that demands too much of us and defines a person's worth based on their output.
This is the pea, this is the flowering thyme, this is the chamomile, this is the Thai basil, this is the sage, and that's the pea tendril, and that's the stuff.
I don't think rest is the only type of resistance. By far, there's so much more that we can do to help one another and take responsibility for our communities. But Center your own personhood, your health, your humanity first, and go from there when things feel overwhelming. I believe a better way forward will become apparent. Not all good things, but many good things take time. And yeah, I do have hope for a better world for all of us.